My
This
topic is about
conference will now be recorded.
so today I'm going to discuss about the liver abscess. The contents of my PowerPoint presentation is classification, incidence, etiology, investigation, pathology, and treatment. You all may know about the liver abscess priorly, that collection of material in the liver. Okay, so I may be talking in brief about this liver abscess today. So classified, it is classified into two types, that is pyogenic and amoebic. What is pyogenic liver abscess? Coming to the history, first it is described by the Hippocrates in 4000 BC. So in 1890, Osler documented amoeba in stools and abscess of the same patient. So Delafoy described multiple hepatic abscess secondary to the pyelophlebitis following appendicitis. So in 1938, again National Class Review herald surgical drainage as a definitive therapy for the pyogenic liver abscess. So coming to incidence, it is about 0.016 percentage seen in whole population. Majority of the people who are having liver abscess, they are clinically asymptomatic. So we may not able to diagnose in case of asymptomatic patients. They will be in normal condition only. So it is peaked at 7th decade of human life. That is at the age of 70. So men and women are equally affected. So the ratio is equal. Elderly and immunosuppressed are more affected. There is no role in race discrimination. Etiology. So it is most commonly seen after the biliary sepsis, that is 35%. So commonest route is spread through the bile. So it is seen through the empyema, gallbladder, cholangitis after any biliary tract surgeries, any instrumentation in the biliary tract, and any stone disease, that is uh, normal cholelithiasis and Caroli's disease and biliary ascariasis, biliary and anastomosis. These are the common etiology. So in case of any portal vein sepsis through route of blood transportation through the portal vein, so most of the blood flows through the portal vein. That is 70% of the human blood flows through the portal vein, and it is most commonly seen after portal vein sepsis is seen after appendicitis, diverticulitis, inflammatory bowel disease, pancreatitis, perforation, pelvic inflammatory disease, colorectal carcinoma, tonsillitis in newborn. So in case of any distinct infection, that is through hepatic artery, blood flows to hepatic artery, that is about 30%. So in case of any pneumonia, lungs, and upper urinary tract infection, endocarditis, osteomyelitis, and bacteremia. So cryptogenic abscess, it has no identified primary infection. So in case of trauma, that is either penetrating trauma or necrosis of liver tissue from the treatment. Example, in case of any chemo or radio frequency ablation in case of carcinoma, and also suprarenal infections, that is amoebic liver abscess and hydatid cyst, and through the direct extension, that is from suppurative cholecystitis and subphrenic abscess, perforation, and perinephric abscess. So pathology. It is more common in old people after 50 years of age. That is, we have described, that is, it peaks in the 7th decade of the life. So, sorry, the male to female ratio is given to it, but it is equally seen. In most commonly, it is equally seen, not 2:1. And due to the laminar blood flow through the right lobe, that is 75%, it is commonly involved. So, in the left lobe, it is 20%, and the caudate lobe is rarely involved, that is 5%. And bilobar involvement with multiple abscess is rarely seen. In case of distant infections, in case of instrumentation or biliary tract infection, we see bilobar involvement. And approximately 50% of hepatic abscess are solitary. So the size of hepatic abscess can vary from less than 1 mm to 3 or 4 centimeters in diameter, and can be multiloculated or a single cavity. So at abdominal exploration, hepatic abscess appear tan and are fluctuant to palpation. And although deeper abscess may not be visible and can be difficult to palpate. So normally abscess also, they are mostly fluctuant, and also similarly hepatic abscess is also fluctuant and palpation. So surrounding informations can cause adhesions to local structures. Coming to microbiology content. So most hepatic abscesses are polymicrobial in nature. The most common organisms culturals are Escherichia coli, Klebsiella pneumonia. So most common, and other commonly encountered are Staph aureus, Enterococcus, Streptococcus viridans, and Bacteroides. So E. coli and Klebsiella, they are seen mostly about 80%. So remaining 20% are encountered for the Staph aureus, Enterococcus, and Streptococcus. And fungal and mycobacterial hepatic abscess are very rare. So in case of TB also, there may be presence of liver abscess. So classical clinical features. Coming to clinical features, the classic description of the presenting symptoms of hepatic abscess is fever, jaundice, right abscess, right upper quadrant pain, and with tenderness to palpation. It is present only in 10% of the cases. And fever, chills, and abdominal pains are the most common presenting symptoms, along with constitutional symptoms like malaise and lethargy. Coming to other clinical features like cough and dyspnea due to involvement of the diaphragm. So diaphragmatic irritation will be present that causes peritonitis secondary to the rupture of the abscess. In that cases, we have to go for explorative laparoscopy. So the duration of the presenting symptoms may vary from acute illness to a chronic presentation. So acute presentation is associated with identifiable abdominal pathology, whereas a chronic presentation is often associated with cryptogenic abscess. Investigations. What are the common investigations? That is blood investigations. And to rule out leukocytosis, that is shift to lead, and WBC count greater than 10,000 millimeter per cube, that shows the signs of infection and sepsis. And anemia, where the packed cellular volume is less than 36%. Hypoalbuminemia, where the albumin percentage, albumin to globulin ratio also falls down, with the decrease in the albumin less than 3 grams per deciliter. And LFTs are raised, that is raised in alkaline phosphatase. Gamma glutamyl GGT, gamma glutamyl transcriptase also increases with the increase in bilirubin greater than 2 grams per deciliter, and a raise in SGOT. So all the liver function tests are gradually increased, and blood cultures for of the aspiration of the abscess and culture sensitivity. So radiologically, we find that the X-ray abdomen with the right upper quadrant gas, air fluid level in the abscess cavity of the ileus. We have shown the ileus. So ultrasound abdomen, this is the other investigation used as the first method of screening. So it identifies the lesion greater than the 2 centimeters in diameter. So the disadvantage is it cannot be identified less than 1 centimeter, differentiating cystic from solid lesions, and also diagnosis of any other gallstones. So this is the ultrasound picture of the liver abscess showing the arrow mark showing the definition of the defined well cavity showing the abscess and with hepatic blood flow. So these are the multiple arrow marks showing multiple abscess in the right lobe of the liver. So investigation of the disease is better diagnosis of concurrent or causative pathology. Abscess greater than 0.5 centimeters in diameter and a small abscess near diaphragm and those in fatty liver. CECT will show more appropriate imaging. There, this also shows that this is the CT image, contrast enhanced, showing the abscess in the right lobe of the liver. These are the CT sections showing the abscess in the left lobe of the liver, which is well defined. So this is another cross section of the CV in case of tuberculosis, where the liver abscess is present in multiloculated form. Okay, multiple abscess with multiloculated. So MRI, it is useful in detection of the lesions less than 0.3 centimeters in diameter, and is best for defining for hepatic venous anatomy and useful for patients requiring liver dissection. And other investigations include nuclear medicine liver scan and X-ray chest to look for right pleural effusion, atelectasis, and elevated hemidiaphragm. Barium contrast studies of upper and lower GAT, endoscopic retro ERCP, and percutaneous cholangiography, that is PTC, is done. So coming to treatment, so antibiotics, what are the antibiotic regimen we give? That is the broad spectrum synthetic penicillin, aminoglycosides or third generation cephalosporin, and along with metronidazole. This is the combination of drugs. So what is the toxicity of aminoglycosides? That is H3-enam and imipenem has a toxicity effects. And penicillin allergy, the imipenem is given in case of penicillin allergy. So duration of treatment must be individualized. And IV antibiotics must be given for at least 2 weeks, followed by oral antibiotics for 1 month. So continuous monitoring must be done. That is the patient whether the abscess is liquefied or whether it is in the solid state. If it is greater than 5 centimeters and it is liquefied, then we can go for aspiration. If it is less than 5 centimeters or it is in solid state, then we go for continuous antibiotic therapy. And multiple abscesses are more problematic and can require up to 12 weeks of therapy in case of multiple multiloculated abscesses. Both the clinical and radiological progress of the patient should guide the length of therapy. And in case of fungal abscess, if ruled out, we give amphotericin B and fluconazole. So empirically, we give sometimes we suspect that in case of clinically, if it is fungal abscess, then we empirically give amphotericin B. So what is the use of aspiration? It is used in young people, more seen in young people. Otherwise, healthy patients with solitary abscess and no coexisting intra-abdominal pathology. So what is the side effect of aspiration is that if any aspirated content fall into the peritoneum, then it causes peritoneal inflammation causing diaphragmatic irritation and peritonitis. And so first can be corrected for culture and sensitivity. So we can rule out whether it is fungal or microbial and must be radiologically guided. So PTC, when we do PTC, so it is must be radiologically guided, not blindly. So and must useful in critically ill patients who cannot undergo surgery. In cases of older people less greater than 60 years, so are not fit for surgery, or if they are having any sepsis or if is any shock, then we go for percutaneous drainage. So it is best for solitary and uniseptate abscess. In case of multiseptate, this is not at all useful. And absolute contraindications are if there is any associated biliary or intra-abdominal pathology, or if the patient is having abnormal coagulopathies. And the relative contraindication include multiple abscess and generalized ascites. And coming to the procedure, modified Seldinger techniques is used, that is localized abscess with ultrasound and CT guidance. A 20 gauge Stephan's sleeve with needle stop is introduced through the safest anatomical route possible. Insert a JY and a number 18 French or 14 French dilated number, and then pictal catheters are advanced over the way, and the abscess evacuated by manual syringe suction, and then catheter is secured to the skin. So it is catheter is continuously irrigated 2 to 3 times a day with sterile saline and aspirated. So or else you can connect to the Euro bag so that it is continuously drained out. And it is kept in a place till output less than 10 cc per day, or cavity collapses are documented on serial CT, or else we can go for continuous serial ultrasonography, and we can check for the cavitation of the abscess or whether it is completely collapsed or not. So when do we do surgical drainage? If the PTC drainage, or if there is any disadvantage in, or if we are not able to do any ultrasound guided drainage, then we go for surgical drainage. For exploratory laparotomy for diagnosing intra-abdominal pathology, provides concurrent treatment of both abscess and its sources. Best for multiple abscess and those inaccessible to PCD coexisting biliary pathology. What are the types of approach? Extraperitoneal approach, that is subcostal, transpleural, and retroperitoneal. So we go generally subcostal is the most common type of approach. Transpleural and retroperitoneal, it is rarely done. Used for only for selected abscess located superiorly in liver. So deep-seated abscess, they cannot be approached through surgically. So then we go for retroperitoneal approach in case of deep-seated abscess. So when do we do transperitoneal approach? Standard treatment for patients requiring surgical drainage, and bimanual examination of liver and intraoperative ultrasonography is possible. And abscess opened with cautery after localization. Localizations broken down with the finger dissection, and then biopsy of the abscess wall and normal liver should be taken. Why the liver wall? So that the normal how the infectious conditions is treating or not. And the abscess site irrigated and soft, and closed suction drains are placed in the abscess cavity and the dependent into the dependent locale, that is radial fossa. so that there will be proper drainage. When do we do hepatic resection? In case of resection of formal lobectomy is done. So isolated lobar involvement with single or multiple non-healing multiple abscesses. So patients with infected hepatomalignancy and hemophilia and chronic granulomatosis, then we go for wedge resection. So laparoscopic surgery nowadays, this has a very limited role. So it usually diagnoses concurrent abdominal pathology, laparoscopically guided liver biopsy, and catheter placed under laparoscopic guidance. So coming, this is about the pyogenic liver abscess. Now coming to the amoebic liver abscess. Epidemiology, amoebiasis is largely a disease of tropical and developing countries, but it's also a significant problem in developed countries. So in case of amoebic liver abscess, is most commonly seen in men, that is 10:1, with a seen in most commonly in 20 to 40 years of age, which is an endemic. So these are the other conditions where we can see pyogenic amoebic liver abscess in case of poverty, in case of menstruating women, with a low incidence for invasive amoebiasis and pregnancy, heavy alcohol consumption, and the patients with immunosuppression. Okay, so alcohol is the most common cause seen in young men, that is 20 to 40 years of age. So coming to the pathogenesis, protozoan Entamoeba histolytica, we have also known in microbiology class, we have learned it's tryphozoite or cyst form. So what is the pathogenesis of Entamoeba histolytica? The life cycle, mature cysts in feces, they contaminate food and water. When we ingest it, they pass through the stomach undamaged. In alkaline medium, cyst wall lysis occurs by trypsin, and excitation occurs, releasing of the nucleus amoeba, and metacyst trophozoites formed, and hepatitis become commonly sigmoid colon has to form. So this is the life cycle in brief. So in the trophozoites reach the liver through the portal venous system, and they pass through the lymphatics involving the right lobe. It is commonly involved over the posterior superior surfaces. Okay. So coming to the pathology. The trophozoites reach the liver, destroy the hepatocytes by releasing histolysine. It causes amoebic hepatitis with multiple microabscess formation. This might resolve on its own with the anti-amoebic drug. Amoebic liver abscess and amoebic abscess is essentially the result of liquefaction and necrosis of the liver. Pathology. The liquefaction, necrosis, thrombosis of blood vessels, release and breaking of the red cells causes formation of the ankylosis. You know that it is chocolate brown color, and pus may be green colored if mixed with bile. So formed cavities will defend with no real fibrous response to around the edges. However, a chronic abscess can ultimately develop a fibrous capsule and may even calcify. So this is the appearance of ankylosis amoebic pus. So trophozoites are found in the wall of the abscess, that is not the content, and amoebic abscess is usually sterile unless infected. So secondary infection is common in up to 30% of the cases. Through anti-amoebic antibiotics develop rapidly in patients with invasive disease of an amoebic hepatic abscess. There is no evidence that is cell-mediated helper T-cell response. This is our mechanism. So what is the course and sequelae of the amoebic liver abscess? It can rupture into lungs, leading to expectoration of the sputum into the lung tissue, and regression of the abscess, that is the common site of rupture. It can rupture into the peritoneum, causing emergency laparotomy. Rupture into the pleural cavity, leading to empyema. Rupture into the bronchus, causing bronchopleural fistulas. So rupture into bare area of liver is causing retroperitoneal abscess. Rupture into the skin, causing the amoebic cutis. Most dangerous complication is rupture into the pericardial cavity, causing the pericardial tamponade, which has the highest mortality, requiring emergency thoracotomy and pericardial decompression with high antibiotics. So what are the clinical features? It is common in males, as we have discussed. It is most common in males 20 to 40 years of age, that is 10:1 ratio. and maybe an attack of amoebic dysentery, or many months after the attack of Hishab may not be there at all. The patient presents with fever, loss of weight, chills and rigors, with non-productive cough and shoulder pain. That is radiating type of pain. And pain in the right hypochondrium, that is 90%. And soft and smooth liver with increased life. So other clinical features include intercostal tenderness, right-sided pleural effusion, mild jaundice, especially in cirrhotic and multiple abscess, and tenderness, rigidity, and skin edema in right hypochondrium in case of acute condition. And in chronic amoebic liver abscess, smooth, firm, hard, and non-tender liver may be possible. What are the investigations? This is similarly protein blood investigation, that is total counts, and LFTs are raised with the albumin level is decreased, prothrombin time is widened, serum alkaline phosphatase, SGBT, SGOT levels are also altered. So ultrasound abdomen shows echogenic city, size, location, and number of abscesses, and nature of abscess. So what are the chest X-ray findings? Raised diaphragm with showing pleural effusion, soft tissue shadowing. These are the X-ray findings. And serological test, they show indirect hemagglutination test, that is 95% positive rate in ELISA, and get diffusion phase test are reliable. So CT scan showing contrast studies, and CT scan raised diaphragms and abscess cavity, showing the size, location, number, presence of the effusion, and change in the lung cavity. And the sigmoidoscopy and colonoscopy are also used to identify any active ulcers in the colon. Stabbing of the ulcer showing trophogates, infective condition. This is the cross-sectional CT scan CT showing the lesion is peripherally located, and the arrow mark showing the abscess, and the rim is non-enhancing but shows peripheral edema, that is the black arrows, maybe notice, and the node actions in the intercostal region, that is these are the ribs extending into the intercostal region. And what is the treatment for these cases? Antibiotics, most commonly treated with antibiotics. The uncomplicated amoebic liver abscess can be treated successfully with amoebic drugs. That is most common are amoebicides or diazoxide fluoride for eradication of the symptomatic colonization stage. Failure to use luminal agents can lead to relapse of infection in 10% of patients. And metronidazole is a drug of choice in case of amoebic liver abscess, 750 ml TAD for 10 days. Followed, if it is not resolving, we can continue for 21 days. In some cases, we give prophylactic for 1 week. And alternatives are alternatives in case of remitins, in case of cardiotoxins and chloroquines. When do we do therapeutic aspiration? In case of high risk of abscess rupture as defined by cavity size greater than 5 centimeters or 250 ml of volume, that is liquefied type. If it is in left lobe of liver, which is associated with higher mortality and the frequency of peritoneal leak or rupture into the pericardium, priorly we go for therapeutic aspiration. If the failure metronidazole fails to treat the pain and fever despite 3 days of antibiotics, when metronidazole is contraindicated in case of pregnancy to relieve any pressure symptoms. Endovidal percutaneous drainage. It is most useful in case of pulmonary, peritoneal, and pericardial complications, but it has a chance of risk of secondary infection. Surgical drainage. What is the indications? So, if the left lobe of damage is not amenable by PTC, or if it is life-threatening hemorrhage, or if the amoebic abscess is eroding into the neighbor structures, or if it is rupturing into the neighbor structures, and septicemia for secondary infection, and failure of response to conservative therapy. So what are the complications? Rupture into the peritoneum, we have discussed as earlier. Rupturing into the adjacent tissue, peritoneum, thorax, cardiac, skin, and lungs, and abscess eroding into the nearby structure, secondary infection, hemophilia, liver failure, diaphragmatic perforation, and bronchopleural, biliopleural, and biliobronchial fistulas. So brownish pus aspirated from the gallbladder. This is the pictomatic representation. In case of intra-op cases, in where we aspirate the amoebic liver abscess from the inferior surface of the liver. So amoebic liver abscess, when it is ruptured into the liver, we see that right lobe of right lung, there is a continuous empyema to the blood space. So coming to the summary, if untreated, it is potentially fatal, and it must be diagnosed as soon as possible and treated accordingly. So investigations of choice are liver function test, ultrasound, and CT, and serology to cornerstone to differentiate. And antibiotics is the plus drainage is the ideal treatment of choice, and the causative pathology should also be treated. Alkaline amines most commonly treated with amibicidal agents along with the drainage procedures. Luminal amibicide should be given, and the high index of suspicion for liver abscess treatment should be withheld until diagnosis is confirmed. Thank you.